hopefully you're sorted for the weekend. You're coming along to the big quiz, all in aid of Sport Relief.
It's at Malvern Theatres this Sunday, 6 o'clock start for the BBC Hereford and Worcester big quiz. Andrew Easton and Dave Bradley asking you the questions, all proceeds going to Sport Relief. But just to reiterate, we've had a few panic calls. It's not a sport quiz as such. That'll be one round in it. There's other rounds you'll be tested on. Now, the former Chief Constable of West Mercia Police Force, Paul West, is going to be taking part. Morning to you.
Morning, Tony.
Have you come up with a decent team name?
Well, I don't know if it's a decent team name, but it's Policing First, which is what I'm involved in now, doing a lot of charitable work in communities, both here and abroad.
And is that where they're going to finish? First?
Absolutely. We're in it to win it, Howard.
Fair enough. Who's in the team? Who have you weeked in?
Well, myself and my wife, and then two friends, Lloyd and Sam Roberts from Stourport as well. Lloyd's a local head teacher, well-known sports personality in the Stourport on Severn area, and general know-it-all, so he's a good person to have on side.
So have you spread your specialties around the group as well, then?
Sort of, as best you can with 4 people. I think there's 1 or 2 gaps, to be fair.
Right, we're going to put you to the test in just a moment. Before we do that, Paul, we've been talking about the miners' strike today, 30 years on from that. Your recollections back then?
Yeah, well, it's very interesting that you asked that, Howard, because I was in Durham at the time. I'm from Durham County. I was a sergeant, newly promoted sergeant in Durham Police. And I have very, very vivid memories of what was a very difficult time in Durham because, particularly in many of the coastal villages in County Durham, in the past there were only 2 choices of career for a man. You either went down the pit or you joined the police. So there were very, very strong community links between the pits and policing. And literally, those careers, it was a choice in that order as well. Back, I'm talking sort of post-war, and in the 60s, it was a lot more lucrative to go down the pit than to be a police officer. So there were very strong community and family links, and it was a difficult time. And I just heard your piece about West Mercia Police, and to be honest, I can also remember West Mercia police officers coming up to the northeast, and it's fair to say that some visiting forces were better behaved than others, if I can put it like that, in terms of sensitivity to the community issues. And I'm not just saying this because of my connections with West Mercia, but West Mercia are one of the best forces in the country in terms of coming to another area, being sensitive to the local issues, doing what they needed to do, and leaving without sort of leaving a trail of devastation behind them, which I'm afraid to say was not the case in relation to all of the visiting forces.
That's really interesting. Let's just, before we give you our quiz test, Paul, just stay there, because Peter's listening to us, and I think your lad's been getting in touch with us this morning. Peter, hi.
Good morning.
Hi. You were a serving officer during the strikes in the 70s?
1972.
Really? 72?
Mr. West has got it slightly wrong. Birmingham City Police, i.e. the West Midlands, were very, very well behaved as well.
They are. Paul?
I wouldn't. I'm not talking about the 70s, but and I don't know whether West Midlands, to be fair, visited County Durham, because, of course, there were sort of big flashpoints in Nottinghamshire and elsewhere.
Oh, some of our lads went all over the place.
Yeah. Well, but I simply can recall West Mercia Police were particularly good in terms of that sort of community awareness.
Peter, tell us about your recollections.
Well, I was serving sergeant in West Midlands, Birmingham City in 72, and it's the misnomer, the Battle of Saltley Gate. And we had miners come from all over the place down there, and Mr. Scargill was there. I didn't see him personally, but I was posted right opposite the gates at the Saltley Gasworks. And there was an inspector there who's now sadly died, and there was 3 of the sergeants. We were all from Ladywood Police Station, with all of our lads from there. And as the lorries came through to go into the gates, we were holding the miners back. It was an extremely dangerous situation, but the miners did explain that they'd been told that they got a surge forward to stop the lorries going in. So as these great big 8-wheel vehicles were coming past us to go into the gates, the miners had explained that they got to push forward, but one of them shouted, "Oi, there's an old inspector here, he's going under the wheels if you're not careful," and the miners put their arms around us and pulled us all back.
Wow.
They weren't the animals that they were alleged to have been later on, and neither were we. We were posted to there from a station just up the road, Neutral Green. We had food sent down to us because we were there for a good 12 hours or so, for about 4 days, I think it was. And because the miners couldn't go anywhere, we had sandwiches and pork pies and goodness knows what, and we were giving the miners some of our food.
Peter, so
we were told a little later on to stop doing it because the hierarchy had heard about it and they didn't want to know. I just want to say a few years later, Mr. West will know about this place. I went to Hutton Hall in the Lancashire Police Headquarters in 1981, prior to the 82 strike, and we had a lecture or talk, whatever you want to do, from Joe Gormley, who was the president then of the NUM. And he said that when he finishes in a few months' time, this was in around about October 81, Scargill will be taking over. And he said, and then your troubles will start. He said, because he will not listen, he will not talk. And he said, so you're going to be for it in a few months' time.
Peter, we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much for coming on with your recollections at the time. Paul, thanks as well. I think we might just have time to do our little quiz with you, which is why he got you on in the first place. You're still with us. I mean,
I am still with you.
It's been an amazing trip.
I managed to talk enough to avoid being asked any awkward questions.
Got wheedle out of it.
We're not going to let you go. Thanks very much to Peter for calling in and listening to the show, and Richard, your lad, as well. Right then, we've got a few questions to give you because it's the big quiz this coming Sunday. Are you ready then?
I'm ready.
Former Chief Constable of West Mercia Police, Paul West. Here we go. Right then, question one. In America, what was the area known as where cowboys drank lots in saloons, rode horses and fired their guns? It was the Wild
West.
Correct. What is a popular brand of tuna named after a man called John?
West.
Correct. What was the name of a popular Irish band managed by Louis Walsh? It finishes in life.
West.
Correct. Name the popular hit by the Pet Shop Boys and Village People. Go.
West.